Don't do this. Please don't pick up. Please don't pick up. Hi, is this Tony? Hi, this.
Don't cry. The party's back!
Yo! All right. It is time for another episode of Supportive Advice Live. I appreciate everyone who is coming aboard. Trying to make sure I can see everybody, all comments, all that good stuff. We'll see what happens. I am like a severe multitasker, so I didn't really have a topic, in all honesty, at least not at first, But, I think that, hey everybody, I'm doing a live podcast. This is going to be the only time I explain this, but I'm doing a live podcast, so feel free, join, look, like, very much like, share. A lot of shares, a lot of likes, a lot of shares. So do that. I'm probably not going to be responding to any comments because my attention is going to be this way because I'm live on multiple platforms. However, again, share, like, like. Okay. So, I think that I want to rant today. I feel like I am in such a space to rant today. As a therapist, there are things that I know, there are things that I have learned. But as a semi-functional, semi-dysfunctional individual, man, sometimes I just want to rant. And the thing that I want to rant about today is ungrateful children. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about ungrateful children. That is what I want to talk about today. Again, welcome to another episode of Supportive Advice. Everybody who's joining via Facebook, everybody that's joining via YouTube, anybody that is joining the live on TikTok, anybody who is live on CALLIN. I know there was a lot of things that I just named right now, but that is what we're doing. I am in a place right now where, you know what, I just want to rant. I want to rant. I don't want to be right. I don't mind being wrong, right? I just want to rant. And the thing that I want to rant about today is ungrateful children. Just completely ungrateful children. Just ungrateful for no reason. Just ridiculous. Just ungrateful. And I feel like I can rant about this topic because I am a mom. And sometimes kids, very ungrateful. With that being said, I'm going to go into a story, right? So, the first podcast I did, my daughter sat in with me, and I really appreciated that. She told me about work and stuff like that, and it got some hits and some plays, and I thought it was real cool, And then a couple podcasts later, people started calling in. Things were kind of happening on its own. It was developing a life of its own, and so she kind of stepped back a little bit, which was cool. That was fine. And so the last podcast, it was just a cluster. And if you want to see the cluster, feel free, you go ahead. You can look at it. You can look at it on CALLIN. You can replay it on Spotify. On what's the other one? Google, Apple. You can go back and look at it on Facebook. It was just a cluster. It was just a whole hot mess. Okay. Um, Nevertheless, I was talking to her today, and she was sounding like she was talking about some interesting things, and so I said, hey, why don't you come on the podcast with me, and we can just have some banter, you and I can just talk, and so she kind of moonwalks out of that conversation, and so I kind of pull her back in, and I'm like, why, why don't you want to, do the podcast with me? What's up, And she throws a couple of reasons out there, none of them which are, the root of like what's actually going on, right? And so then I say, when you ask me to do stuff, and this is what us parents we do. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, but and mind you, I just want to throw this out there. This is an adult that I'm talking to. I'm not like talking to a 12-year-old or a 9-year-old or anything like that. I'm talking to a grown-up. So just be clear. And yes, I know I don't look like that. I have a grown-up, but I do. So anyway, talking to an adult here. And I'm like, I show up for you all the time. Why can't you just show up for me? And I'm not to say never, right? No one never, no one always. I'm really quick to say that. No one never, no one always. If you hear someone saying never or you hear someone saying always, then they're telling a lie, okay? But anyway, I'm just like, why can't you just show up for me? And so I gave a valid example of a time where I was momming it up, as I typically did. She was trying out for a play, and she froze, as kids do. I think she was like 10 or something, 10 or 11, whatever. I think 11. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm pregnant, and I'm not just a little bit pregnant. I'm like pregnant, like barely walking, waddling, whatever, pregnant, and I see her freezing, and as she's freezing, I go to save her. And now, if I was talking to a client right now, I would 150% say, don't do that. Do not save your children from normal experiences that they're going to have, experiences where they're embarrassed, experiences where they might have anxiety. They'll never learn how to cope with any of those things if you always try to save them from themselves or from having any type of experience outside of happiness. So I wasn't a therapist at that time, and I saw her, looking like a deer in some headlights, right? And so I get again, pregnant, that's the nicest word I'm going to use there, and I jump on stage. Please don't judge me. Please don't judge me. It's not something that I would do now. It is not anything that I would ever do now. But I jumped on stage. And I looked at her and I said, I turned her towards me and I said, I'm not gonna say her name, I'm gonna just name, it's me and you. It's just me and you. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. It's just me and you. And again, I caution parents against this. And the reason why I caution parents against this is because it does not put them in any position to be able to cope with, self-soothe, or handle any type of disappointment, any type of anxiety, any type of anything. So then by the time they're an adult, they're not good at coping with these things, right? Nevertheless, I say to her, hey, it's just me and you. Say the lines. Act like that you're just talking to me, and I'm standing there, and and people are looking at me like I'm crazy, and I might have done the same thing. I mean, literally, I'm big as a house, and I'm jumping on stage, trying to save her from herself. Which I think is a big mistake that sometimes we make as parents, and I'll admit I've definitely made that. But with that being said, and there was no acknowledgement. There was nothing. It was nothing, nada, right? And she says to me, but this one time when we was at the store, and you was in a car and I was in the store, and you left from where I couldn't see you no more, and then you came back, and I'm like, what are you talking? Like, I just talked to you about this heroic moment. Like, I'm talking to you about this heroic moment where me and my pregnant self ran and jumped on stage just to be there for you because you were having anxiety or you were nervous or whatever the case may be. And you talking to me about one time when you was in the store and I don't know, probably went in the drive-thru or something, and you couldn't see my car for 60 seconds, and then I'm like, seriously, like you cannot be serious right now. It's I was just like, am I in the twilight zone or like what? Because I've been left. Now, I ain't gonna say no names, but my mama didn't play. Get an attitude. Or you even look like you about to have an attitude. I have been left. Okay? I remember one time, and I love my mom. Me and my mom have a great relationship. I love you so much. I hope she's listening. But I remember a time where my mom, she left me at a CVS. I had bronchitis, and something else was wrong. And I was at the CVS. She had taken me to the CVS after I had just left out the emergency room. And she started talking to me about something. For the life of me, I can't recall exactly what it is, but whatever. I didn't say the right thing, right? And to this day, I don't know what that right thing was, but I didn't say it, whatever it was. I didn't say the thing. And she looked at me, and she left me at the CVS. And it was winter. It's wintertime. It's winter. It's cold. I don't know any of y'all from Ohio, but in the winter in Ohio, it get cold. Okay, it's not California dreaming. It's freezing, is what it is. And she left me at the CVS with bronchitis or whatever else I had going on at the time, and because it's just a different generation. It's like it's just different. And that's not something I would ever do, to my kids or whatnot, because as you can see, I'm still like traumatized by that. I'm just like, I'm 38 years old, still talking about when she left me in the CVS when I was like 20 or something. But at the end of the day, the therapist in me, because there is a therapist in me. There's a therapist in me because I am a therapist and I talk to people all the time. So yes, there's a therapist in me. And the therapist in me wants to validate, the emotion. I want to stay clear of minimizing. I want to make sure that I am, using I statements. I want to make sure that I am just doing it, like making sure that I am completely acknowledging her. But the me and me, the just regular person in me wanted to just be like, what are you talking about? Like, so you just gonna dismiss my whole heroics where I acrobated pregnant on the stage for you, and you want to talk about a one time where I drove you to the store. I drove you there. And then you sit on the phone the whole time because apparently I'm a chauffeur. I'm a chauffeur. Obviously, I'm a chauffeur. So you want to sit in a car on your phone the whole time ignoring me when I'm doing this thing that you asked me to do. And then you go into the store and I'm waiting on you. And then what? I go for like, I don't know how many seconds, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to say 60 because why not? And you come out, you just so happen to come out the store right then, and I'm not just sitting in front of the store. What? Oh, tragedy. You know, you were 16. You could have been catching the bus to the store. You know, it's like, but at the end of the day, it's just like, how ungrateful do you have to be to only want to hold on to every negative experience that you've ever had? Like, how ungrateful do you have to be? Like, this child has literally blocked out the first 8 to 9 years of her life. And I said, why? What is that about? Why? People ask me, did something happen to her? You know, was there something traumatic that was going on? What was happening? Why would she block out the first 8, 9 years of her life? Nothing happened. Nothing. We went on trips. We went to the park all the time. I took her to museums. I was paying into, because I was a young mom. I wasn't like a 16-year-old mom, which is nothing wrong with that if you're, do what you do, just do your best at it. But, at the end of the day, I wasn't a 16-year-old mom, but I was a 19-year-old mom. So I was a young mom. And the whole playing with kids thing, that wasn't really my jam, you know what I'm saying? But I kept thinking to myself, pour into this time, pour in, right? Because eventually, she's going to appreciate it. And she's going to appreciate you. So we would, I would take her ice skating. We would go, to the museums, like I said, take her to the movies. We would just go. We would just hang out, just me and her, hang out, right? She don't remember none of that. I could have just sat her down in front of the TV. I could have sat down next to her. And that's just how we could have spent the first 8, 9 years of her life, apparently, because she don't remember nothing. But let something happen that she didn't like. She could tell you about that like it was yesterday. It's like, but seriously, like, at what point do you appreciate I appreciate my mom. Was she perfect? No. Was I perfect? No, absolutely not. But at the end, because, I didn't become a therapist until a little later on, and at 19, if I sat up here in front of your face and said I had my whole life together and I knew exactly how to be a mom and what I was supposed to do and all of that stuff, then I would be lying to you. I would absolutely be lying to you because that's not the truth. It's not the truth, and so I was growing up with her. She was the first roommate I ever had, and she ain't paid no rent neither. But at the end of the day, like, that was my everything. That was my everything. She was my everything. And and so sometimes to have so many years have passed and to have someone look at you and just be so ungrateful for everything that you've done. I mean, I get the aspect of, well, you're my mom, you're supposed to X, Y, Z, Z, Y, X, right? But it's like, goodness gracious, like, I did more than I had to do, as many parents do, as many of us parents do out here. I didn't just status quo you. You know what I'm saying? I was there, and maybe even to a detriment, because like I said before, trying to protect a child from disappointment or being nervous or having anxiety or ever being depressed or not getting their way, you think that you're doing them a favor in the moment, But really, what you're doing is you're trying to protect yourself from having to experience it with them. And it's selfish. It's selfish because they need that. They need to experience it. They need to experience disappointment. That doesn't mean be a jacked up parent and never keep your word. I'm not saying that. But they need to experience that. They need to experience adversity. Because if they don't, they're not going to know how to deal with it. And then you're going to be looking all confused because you're like, wait, why are you breaking down at every single small thing that happens? Well, because you never gave them the opportunity to build that muscle. And I don't know who I'm talking to out there. I really don't, but I know I'm talking to me because that's what I did. I wanted to create this euphoric, perfect environment for her. Now, by the second one, it was kind of like you get loves, and anybody who's seen a love commercial, you know what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, I wanted to create this perfect environment, an environment that didn't do anything essentially but stunt her growth. But I just feel like with the amount that you do sometimes as a parent, you look back and you're like, okay, so you didn't appreciate none of that? Like none of that mattered to you. So that was just, I could have just not did it. There is some animosity there. Like I feel that. I'm like, raising a child isn't easy. Now granted, she didn't ask to be here, la la la. I get that argument. But at the end of the day, it's not easy. So when you're doing all of that, when you're putting all of yourself into trying to be the best mother you can, you one of the things that keeps you going is, one day they'll appreciate it. One day they'll give a crap about this time. They'll care. And then you got them looking in your face and they don't care at all. Anybody can tell me that doesn't matter to them. But I, as a mother, it matters to me. As a mother, it matters to me. Now, as a therapist, I can help somebody work through it. That's fine. I help people all the time as a therapist. But therapists are human. So this podcast is not about me just being a therapist. This podcast is about me being human, transparent, so that I can actually help people that are having real emotions and real feelings. So, with that being said, I got a speaker, so we'll do that.
That is deep. Well, hello. Also, I
Hey!
figured I figured I'd chime in at some point because I definitely walked in on a little bit of vent session. So
Yes, I was venting quite a bit.
well, that's a good thing though, because it's more room out than in, as my uncle used to say, for other reasons. But anywho, now before I say something, let me just throw this out there that I'm a unicorn. I don't have any kids. However, I don't believe that disqualifies me from having a valid opinion that is helpful. But
I don't think it disqualifies you either. So go ahead.
so one thing I kind of noticed is we not even gonna get into generations because that's a whole nother ball of wax. But
Ooh,
I think it is some a little bit of taking things for granted on the kids end, but also say maybe a perspective to think about is maybe you're looking to withdraw your 401k money before you're eligible, if that
ooh,
makes
I
sense.
love that. I love
Like
that.
I think that might be something to consider, where I just know from my own personal experience at 19, 20, 21, 25, 20, I might
Wow.
not have appreciated really nothing, or really necessarily even understood the totality of your mom sacrificed, especially being somebody that my pops passed earlier, like 12, so it was kind of on her shoulders. So
Right, right.
as I got older, let's say for show 30 and up. Okay, all right, now I get it. Oh, okay. Oh, this is what you was doing. Oh, what man? What is this? I don't want no parts of this. This is crazy. So I think in order to appreciate something, you kind of gotta live something. So I
That's
think that
true.
might be I think that's the whole thing to maybe think about. And I might this might be a little sobering to say, but you probably have a little bit more pouring in to do also. So there's that. But yeah, that's just look at it as you're trying to withdraw early, and just expect it a little bit later. It's,
So,
it's,
I
it's,
mean, I will say that that is a perspective. It is a perspective, and it's a valid perspective, right? I think that my perspective is a little skewed, right? Because at 19, I was a mom, right? And so, with her being the same age I was when I had her, there's a part of me that I think is expecting some type of emotional maturity, um, because at her age, I had to mature. I had to, put somebody before me. I had to be able to care about what she wanted above what I wanted in order to be the type of mom that I wanted to be. And so it's not, that I think that at 19 someone is not capable. I just think that sometimes there's a choice that's not being made. At 18, I could appreciate my mother. I didn't always like her. I mean, I love her. Mom, if you're listening, I love you, But I ain't always like her, But, at some point, you can start to appreciate a little bit, or at least if somebody is saying, hey, you know, they're asking you to show up. Can you show up for me? And you choose not to. Like, I don't know if that, I don't know what that is, but, it's not, it's like I'm asking you for something specific. Show up, and you're like, nah, I'm cool. Because this one time when we went to the store, and then you was in the car, and then I was in the store, you wasn't right out there when I was like, it's like what, like that's
but I mean,
I'm like,
the
what are
even
you talking about? What are you talking like
that
that? How do you think you got to the store? Hello?
I don't think
Good
I just
night.
know. I
Good
know
night.
women are from my experience, I should say. Let me qualify it. I've noticed that women seem to mature before men do. So I know for myself. You mentioned how you don't had to care for others and do all this grown stuff. I'm taking a free 96 Contour and I'm trading it in for a 95 Eldorado because I want to have rims and I want to go have fun and get girls. So, needless to say, my priorities was a little different than say yours at 19. So, polar opposites, if you will. So, and that is me as being, a male. So I could even with that said, I think it's just what some are forced to do and what some are allowed to do at certain ages. If you don't have to grow up too fast, you're not going to just do it automatically, chances are, unless there's something that's driving you. So to have a perspective that, oh, well, she did all this when I was younger, and all, that ain't necessarily coming just yet. That is, if it is, I am hats off to you, young lady or young man, but just knowing how I was, I'm like, oh,
Young
I'm
lady.
just glad you
Hold on,
working
hold
a
on, hold on.
job and,
Wait,
and,
pause,
and
pause,
going to
pause.
school.
We got cameras. Pause, pause, pause. They aren't feeling the situation 100%. guys and girls are different for sure. Yeah, guys and girls are different for sure. Thank you, Young Lion. I mean, Dante, yes, guys and girls are different. When I was 18 years old, I was very self absorbed. Here, let me just throw this back. I was the only child. So just roll with that.
Preaching to the choir. I'm the only
Right?
child as well.
I have a half brother and a half sister that I love very, very much. If you guys are listening, I love you guys. However, I was raised as the only child. So I was very self-absorbed. It was like, is this about me or is no, wait, is this about me though? Like my mom told me a story, and I'm digressing, but I'm getting to a point. My mom told me a story about one of her boyfriends, and yep, I said that right. They had got her some jewelry or something like that. And and I guess they had got me something cute too. I don't know, whatever. I was like little. And she says that the moment that they gave her something that they did not give to me, I freaked out. She was like, you freaked all the way out. You freaked out. You fell on the floor. You had a whole fit. You banged your head. You was just tripping. You was just gone. You was just done. And and it's like, okay, well, a part of that stayed with me. So at 19 years old, to look at that pregnancy test, it was a out of body experience to say the least, right? But I was like, look, if and the people who knew me told me, don't have a baby, don't do it, don't do it. I had so many people tell me, you're not meant for motherhood, right? I did, because at 18 years old, I was about, you know, having my hair done, having my nails done, wearing high heels, everything matching, being the cutest one at the party. At 18, I still thought I was gonna be famous. Okay, that's where I was at. At 18, I still had this plan to go off to Hollywood and be famous and change my name, and then it was just I was living in la la land. Like I put the la in la la land, okay? And so I was self-absorbed. So when people found out I was having a baby, they were like, "No, not you, not you, no, not you." And but I had to adjust. I had to adjust. I had to mature. I was the only one of my friends who had a baby. I had a whole bunch of people I would hang out with that didn't have no time for me because I couldn't do the things that I used to go do. But at the end of the day, like, you make a choice. I could have stayed immature. If I wanted to, I could have found a way to put myself first. I could have found a way to hand her off to my mom or hand her off to whoever and still live whatever life I wanted to live. But I made a choice. And so sometimes it's not just about what you're forced to do, it's about what you choose to do. And my thing is, why aren't more individuals making a choice to appreciate the people around them, like they mama?
That is that's a very loaded question, but I do agree that it's a choice, but I think in some aspects you have to understand what your choices are, because to kind of piggyback off the whole only child thing, man, that was the life. This particular child is a one of one, none before, none to come. That was me. So I definitely relate to that. But then I would say there was a sense of, I had younger cousins, and I kind of, I wasn't 100% about me, but I probably was a smooth 84. So I got 16% to give to others, and some of that, so about 6% of it went back to Mom Dukes and family, and the rest couple friends, and the rest to whoever I'm interested in, and as I grew, as I got older and older, the percentage of me decreased and the percentage of others increased. So I think the more mature you get, the older you get, which maturity isn't necessarily determined by age, but it's, I feel like, experience. I think the fact that you know, had a child at 19, which I saw like some of my friends had kids at 16. And I'm like, oh no, that would be none of that. Oh no, that is I'm gonna take it. That
It's
is
whack.
crucial.
It's
That
whack.
was
10 out of 10 don't recommend. It's whack. Don't do that. Don't do that.
that I'm looking at. Oh, he get the business from the mama of the child because she mad because she got paid for it. Like it was so many layers I'm watching. I'm like, oh no, I think even I'm even here transparent. I think subconscious. Well, I think it's double subconscious. Subconsciously, my approach to making sure that was never me has kept me from having one all these years, subconsciously. Because I'm like, oh no, I ain't about to be getting yelled at by somebody else, mom. No, oh, that's crazy. That's that's bogus. No, that ain't gonna be me. And then of course I always thought my great grandma was gonna jump from behind the bush, even though she'd been dead for what 30 plus years. Like I still won't do certain stuff just cause. Like that's a whole other subject, but all that combined, kind of, I think has programmed me to be cautious or have been cautious over the years. So, I, it's deep, but I feel like that you having to be in that situation made you mature and appreciate things your mom did. And if someone isn't pushed into that situation, they may not get it till later. They may not understand that they have that choice or understand all the choices at their disposal until a later date.
So I want to say, Dante, that you are making a lot of sense. And my people on TikTok, feel free to chime in. Um, and I want to say you are making like a lot of sense. You are, and a therapist in me, like the therapist in me that knows and understands like the different life cycles and all of that stuff and self actualization and all of those great book learning terms that I have to throw around
$100
agrees
words.
with you. Agree that part of me is so locked into what you just said. But then it's just a human in me that's just like, I don't like this. I'm not there. I don't like this. I don't like it. I just don't like it. It's pretty sucky. And I want some change. I would like to be appreciated. And it's and that's okay, right? Because I'm human. And this rant, whatever it wasn't, it's not for me to be right. And again, I don't mind being wrong either, which is the same thing. But it is for me to identify with these parents out here, whether you were a young parent, whether I don't know, when you had kids, but these parents out here that now have these old that really kind of minimize everything that they did. Like to have somebody look at you and only remember anything negative that you've ever said, that hurts.
Yeah.
Like that
No,
hurts.
I understand. That's the human side definitely is affected by that big time. Now, the thing is, like, now that you understand, like,
Hey Paris, chime in.
what, what does the psychologist in you say to do?
No,
What is the
I do
suggestion?
that. No, Dante. See, I do that all day. I do that all day, every day. Right now, I'm just being a mom, and the mom in me is hurt, and that's okay, because there's a lot of other parents out here who feel the way that I feel, who have sacrificed for their kids, and their kids are getting older, and they're like, man, did I put money in the wrong stock or what? Like, what is really good here? What is really good? I mean, she blocked out the first 8 years of her life. Now, that's just nonsense. That is just nonsense. But Denise says, I feel you. I'd be sad if my son didn't appreciate me when he got. Oh, thank you, Denise. For sure. For sure. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate that comment. And it's not, Dante, it's not that I'm not understanding what you're saying. And it's not that I don't agree with what you're saying, because I do. And the therapist to me does. See, like normally I would be the one sitting where you sitting, and then a client would be me right now, and they'll be, going on and on about their emotions, and I would be saying some stuff that you saying, But right now I'm making space for parents out there that feel what I'm feeling, where you're just like, a thank you would suffice. You don't have to bow down and kiss my feet or nothing. Like I'm not asking you to do a coming to America and hop on one leg and bark like a dog. I'm not asking any of that. But a dang on thank you every now and again would suffice. Why is that too much to ask?
You're not wrong, and that is yeah, and especially sitting in your seat, you dealing with others' issues, it definitely could take a toll on you. So you do have to take time to express how you feel in a good way, and be unapologetic for it.
Yeah,
So
and I'm unapologetic, because it doesn't, like people will say, well, you're voicing this opinion, or you're dying on this hill or whatever, and they think that it takes away from me being a therapist. It doesn't. It doesn't take anything away from me being a therapist, but it does show people that I'm human. And it does, the clients that actually do come to me, clients that do have kids adults, really adults, that live in the house, that argue with them, that don't say thank you, that still expect them to treat them the same way that they did when they was kids, it's like those clients, see, they don't know why I empathize with them, and why I can't empathize with them the way that I am, but it's because I am a parent, and because I know what it's like to do everything that you possibly can, and somebody's in your house. I mean, our house, right? We're a family. But anyway, your house, and they looking at you cockeyed. They yelling at you for eating some waffles. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, hey,
What?
ho, the phone, player.
eating waffles.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you're an adult, right? Kind of. And so you go on and you get your own food, right? But you get food that's the same food that everybody else buy in the house. You don't put your name on nothing, even though people done told you like 50,000 times to put your name on your stuff. Because see, when I buy food for everybody, but apparently when you buy food, you only buy food for you, and that's whatever, right? But put your name on it. And then, when someone is nice enough to wake up in the morning to cook everybody some breakfast, and not just themselves, everybody, you want to pitch a fit about them touching your waffles. And so I'm like, look, like I think it for me, I think that even though it started with a, hey, can I get a thank you? I think that it goes even further than that, because there is just a level of unappreciation along with entitlement that just is like, ah, okay? It's like, come on. So,
Yeah, that is.
So tell me about the waffles though, Dante. Was you doing that?
No, I wasn't doing nothing like that. No, no, I wasn't doing that. But what? Now, one thing I can say, and this is, I have been watching from afar because I grew up in a family of women on both sides of the family. women, when it comes to the parent and the offspring, y'all are straight out vicious. Y'all are different than a mom and a son and a daughter and a mother are two different. Oh my goodness! I don't know if y'all know who Tony Baker is. I never knew that it was so much of a difference
What you
where
talking
it'll
about,
be some of the
Dante?
most I I
What you
I
talking
won't. No
about?
names, please. No, there are no names,
Now
but I
who?
won't
Now
mention
who
any.
you talking about? What you talking about?
I won't mention any names, but there are certain family dynamics that I have seen where a mother and daughter have interacted in a very I'm gonna just toxic way at times in comparison to a mother and son where it'll be everything will be copacetic. There'll be things that maybe the mother don't like or this or that, but as far as the interaction, like on a day to day, in house, it's a little different than the mother daughter, and that's just what I've seen in certain.
I need an example. I need an example,
So
Dante.
so there is. I'll never. So so these this was this I'm watching. I'm just a hypothetical family. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
just
yeah.
say you there's a hypothetical mother that I know who has a daughter, and the daughter would do things to irritate the mother. The mother would do things in retaliation, and even go a step further. Then it'll be a situation where because the whole gripe was that daughter wasn't appreciative, so it just left a bad taste in the mother's mouth,
You're
and
daggone real.
but that energy, for lack of a better term, just kind of just permeated the whole relationship, the house, all interactions between the two, where there was never really times in seasons that everything was smooth. And and I've seen that hypothetical story I've seen, to be honest, more times than not between a mother and a daughter. Now with a mother and a son, as long as they, going to school, working, as long as they're doing the basics, the mother, might have problems with this or that, but inside the house, the interpersonal, that like, there's really not the same issues. They're not going back and forth. They might even be able to eat dinner together. It might be okay. But that's just what I said. But I'm just talking from my personal experience. I might have been doing all type of crazy stuff, but if I come to the house, like it's ain't no arguing, everything cool. Hey, thank you, I appreciate it. Like
See
I
that?
might
But
not
did
say
you hear
appreciate
that?
it,
Did you hear what you just said? You
but
said
the
thank
whole
you.
thing.
I appreciate it.
But
Did you hear
even if
that?
I didn't, even if I didn't, it still wouldn't be like they holding it against me like that. But at the same token, I think women just are more. I don't even know. I'm trying not to get burnt at the stake, so
Yeah,
let me tread lightly.
yeah.
But all I'm gonna say is there is definitely a different dynamic between a mother and daughter than there is between a mother and son,
Okay, so
and that's just
I will say this. I have a son. He's 7. Got my baby. That is my baby. Ah, that's my boy right there. You know. Um, but I also want to say this. I have such a strong relationship with my mom. Like, I love my mom. Like, anybody who know me know I go hard for my mom, you know? And and that was even before I ever got pregnant. I just have always, like my grandmother would sit me down and tell me stories about how I was 8 years old trying to make my mom breakfast and I couldn't cook a thing, you know. But Michael always tells, Michael's my significant other. Anybody who was wondering. But anyway, he always tells me, he's like, you a different breed. You a different breed because the emotional awareness that you had at 11 years old, a lot of adults don't even have. And it's hard. I mean, it helps with the role that I have as a therapist, and being in the mental health field. But it's hard because it's that thing where you're like, people say don't expect you out of other people, but you like, no, I raised you. I raised you. So I should at least be able to expect some me out of you. I raised you. But then again, I also want to throw on the table that me and my daughter, we have a close relationship. Now, when she was 14, I don't know what alien came down, abducted her, back, whatever. Oh my gosh! I looked at boarding school. Like I was about to, I was just about to move one day, and she was just gonna come back to an empty house. Like I don't know what was happening. I don't know what type of her head was spinning around. Is all I got to say. At 14, it got toxic. It got so toxic at 14. I don't even know. Like to this day, I think that she was a pie person because there's not no way. There's not no way. I raised that 14-year-old. But as time went on, and I don't know, they gave her back. I don't know who they are, but whoever took her, they gave her back. We actually do have a good relationship. We talk. I love my baby. I love my daughter. I love my daughter 150%, but I talk about her. I'm going to talk about her just like any other mom would talk about their kids, because it's like at the end of the day, I can't expect something from you. It's not like you're not 7, you're not 6. I'm not expecting these things out that you're unable to give because you're not at a point where you can understand anything. No, I expect this from somebody that's an adult, somebody who goes out and works a job and knows how hard it is to go out and work a job and come back and then know how little you get paid to make ends meet. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I don't want anybody. I'm not trying to get any praise from this. I'm just stating a fact. You won't gotta pay not a one bill, not no bill. I ain't asking you to help me with no rent. I ain't asking you to give me none of your money. I don't want nothing from you. Besides common decency, and again, I thank you every now and again. You know what I'm saying?
And you 100% right. But I think it was a word that kept sticking out to me. I think might be the key to some expectations. I think maybe the expectations might be just a little too high, and that's a tough pill to swallow. That's what they would do.
You see, I'm choking on that mug.
That's one of the big horse pills.
I need that Heimlich right about now. I'm choking on that boy.
That's that pill you get when you get that get like a sinus infection, and they give you that first pill, and they give you the prescription.
That horse tranquilizer.
Yeah, that big stupid. that's that pill. So I get it because I'm bad.
Michael, come up here and rub my throat. It's not going down. It's not going down.
That man, you might have to drink a milkshake, eat a piece of my great eat a piece of bread, baby. You gotta use a piece of bread. Well, no, it make it go down. Trust me, it worked. I know from experience. I'm like, wow. In retrospect, but I digress. But I think that's the thing, like the expectations, and it hurts. It's painful. It's like,
sucks.
why?
It freaking sucks.
This is blood of my blood, flesh of my. This is my mini me. You supposed to be like me. And then the fact that it's already been identified that you are aberration.
Take a little me.
But
take a smidget.
It might take a little longer. That's all. It might just take a little longer. But they gonna get there.
That's some bull, and I'm not gonna say the whole word, but you know what
I'm with you. I would stay focused on where it's going, not where it is.
You know, it's a bull. So I mean, I hear you, but the bull. So I want a Karen. All right, so I got a Karen Flores on here. I believe it has to do with the time we are in. Okay, let me slow this down because I believe it is. It has to do with the time we are in. Everything is to go against the family. Say that, Karen. Kids are against mother for nonsense these days. Say that, Karen. Put it in all caps. All caps. Because at the end of the day, Dante, like I'm with you, and again, the therapist in me is loving your perspective. I just want to say that. I want you to know that I hear you, brother. You know, I hear you. You know, at the end of the day, though, you know, it's not even just about you can't say thank you. It's not even just about you can't show up for me. It's not even because it's like, okay, you can't show up, fine, whatever, I'll show up for myself. But at the end of the day, like, the entitlement is real. Like, it's real. You know,
Now,
it's crazy, and you'll just go out and talk about me like some random person on the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll tear me all the way down. You know, and I'm just like, at the end of the day, like, what's really good? Like, what is really good? Like, I don't know what's up with this generation. I said it. I don't know what's up with this generation. I don't know.
no.
I'm a
Oh well,
millennial.
no.
I'm a millennial.
I
I don't know what's up with this on here.
I'm gonna say this, because Karen Flores, she hit it right on the dot.
Yes,
And
thank you, Karen.
that
Love you for
opened
that comment.
that
Thank
opened
you.
but that opens a whole nother discussion point, which I didn't know if we was getting into anything like that, but that's a whole
Drive it
another
home,
ball of,
Dante.
that is, there's that's more in the, if you know, if that's a spirit that's operating within that generation that is just causing discourse between the family, and that's a whole nother thing. So I don't know if this is that genre for of podcasts, but yeah, that's what that really to go even deeper with it. That's what that is. But on a just on a natural abstract side, yeah, it's, give it time. Like that. Like that's what I got for you on the abstract side. Give it time. They'll come around. But then on the other side, it's like, well, you got to speak to the thing that's actually the problem, that spirit that's operating, and that's the quicker picker upper. That's the thing that's gonna fix it. That's them traits that go back 3-4 generations. Like that's stuff that ain't even got nothing to do with you directly. Like that's some stuff that was here before you got here, before we got here. So there's that. So
So there is that, and I'm going to sweep that under the rug a little bit there, and kind of creep over it. But there is that aspect. There, like with everything, there is a spiritual aspect to it. But even in just a natural, aspect, the way that I was raised, the way that my mother was raised, the way that my grandmother was raised, like, there's just some things you just wouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? There's just things that you wouldn't do. And whether you were a kid, a teenager, or grown up, like, you just wouldn't do it. And I see a lot on TikTok, people be talking about Gen X, and I'm like, a part of me, I was confused for a long time, because I'm like, man, I sound like I'm from Gen X, but it was just things that were not allowed. It just wasn't allowed. And when I was, when I first had my daughter again, I had her at 19. When I first had her, I came home, lived with my mom for about 4 months before me and Leah got our own apartment. And when I say my mom wasn't playing no games, if she came in and I wasn't up, cleaning up, doing something. I could have been up with the baby all night. It didn't even matter. Didn't matter. If I wasn't up doing chores, making sure that everything was together, I got ring. Do you know how many times she said, "Get out"? Like getting out was like her favorite words, but it was just things that you just did not do. You know, like I mean, I'm literally listening to a 19-year-old pitch a fit about some waffles, carrying on like they pay a mortgage. Like, and then I look at myself and I'm like, girl, what did you do? That you shouldn't have. When did you make that left? When you maybe should have stayed straight or took a right or what? What is it? Because as a parent, you don't want to be your parents, right? I mean, maybe there's some people who
Right.
do, but for
A
the most
form.
part, as a parent,
Some.
you don't want to be your parent, right? And so you try to do things opposite your parent, but then you see the result and be like, man, now I realize why my mom did it that way. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's too much. You know, now and again, and just to throw this out there, just want to make sure everybody knows, I love my daughter. I love all my kids, you know, and me and her, we have a great relationship. We'll get into an argument on Saturday. We'll be cool on Sunday. You know, she gonna be pissed off that I talked about her in my podcast, and maybe she won't talk to me for the rest of the day, but I'm sure I'll talk to her tomorrow. At the end of the day, though, you know, we have a very strong relationship. But, you know, I was like, at what point, as a parent, and apparently not now, according to Dante, can you say, like, all right, you know, I paid into this. It may not have reached full maturity, but I can get a couple dollars out, right?
It won't have
Couple
the
dollars, though.
value. It won't have the value that you put into it. It's like that. You expected a 6 month CD, and it's a 5 year. You know, it's one of those. So you just gotta wait the course, and that's a harder thing said than done. But
It's
keep in
some
mind
B and
that's
some S is what I'm.
that's a, that's still on the that's still on the abstract side.
And you know, and that's typically where I stay, right? Because the field that I'm in as a therapist, you know, doing psychology, I am all about the science, you know, figuring out why people do the things that they do. I went into marriage and family therapy because I was always interested in systemic studies, right? You know, and so for me, A plus B is supposed to equal C. So when I'm in a situation where I'm like, no, I put in this, and putting in this is supposed to be get that, and it ain't. Now I'm just confused. And I think that for me, that's more or less what it is. It's like, okay, now if I didn't give this, then you know, to try to take something out that I didn't put in, then that doesn't make any sense. But to try to take out what I'm putting in and continue to put in and will continue to put in, because that's the person I am, you know, it's like, man, this ain't making no sense. This is like saying 2 plus 2 equal 5. It don't equal 5, man.
And that I relate, because yeah, if somebody tell me a one plus two equals 47, I'm gonna need to see the math. I need show me the math. I need to know. So I definitely relate to that. But I never really wanted to go in that field because I don't like it. Like I don't like
Tell me how you
the
really
because
feel,
that's
Dante.
I mean because it's too it take a like you are special. Well, I'll tell you that because in
Oh,
order to deal with but what I'm saying is to deal with people in that way, like that ain't everybody. Like I can't be a doctor. I can't be a. I can be a lawyer, but I can't. I could. There's certain fields that you have to give too much of yourself in order to kind of like operate in that field at a with a at a certain excellence level. and ain't anybody got time for that. That's a lot. That's a
Nobody
lot.
got time for it, huh?
That's I mean it over here for me.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that that's that was something I knew early because just the way that just the type of person I am, like I would be heavily invested in so like I would be thinking I could be somewhere eating shrimp and I'd be like I wonder what Miss Johnson I wonder did she actually talked to her son and then they figured it out or like I would be thinking about some stuff watching the Browns it's like what like it's yeah, I can't. No, that ain't that type of thing ain't for me. Cause it's like
See,
I have to use my own strength for it.
that is, and see what you're describing. Now I get to get technical, right? Now I get to bring the therapist out. I done bitched and moaned enough, so now I get to bring the therapist out. All right, so what you're describing, right, is emotional boundaries. As a therapist, if you do not have emotional boundaries, you will end up getting way too invested. And that sounds like it might be a good thing, right? But it's not. Why? It's not good for you because you'll get burnt out, but it's also not good for the client because then you start to try to determine what their goals should be based off of what you think should happen. This ain't a choose your own adventure book. It's their goals. It's supposed to be their goals. And so you have to have emotional boundaries. You know, can you feel with your clients? Absolutely. You know, some of my clients have suffered major losses. Do I feel with them 150%? I do. But do I also remember that it's happening around me, but it's not happening to me? Yes, I do. And when I get off of that session with the client, when they leave, they have to go on about their life, and I have to go on about mine. I have to still be a mother. I have to still be a significant other. I have to still be a daughter. I have to still be a student. You know, I have to still be able to do all of these different things, and I can't do that if I'm so obsessed, because that becomes an obsession. If I'm so obsessed with how the story turns out that I'm trying to script the characters.
It's always gonna be that one. You can have
Oh,
that rule and operate real good with that rule, but then that one just pop up. That's yeah. That's something that I'm like, oh yeah. Cause I actually thought about going back to the story last week about trying to self-diagnose myself. I actually thought about going into
don't do
your
that,
field.
people. Do not self-diagnose
Yeah,
yourself,
I
please. Not a therapist
know.
supported by
'Cause
com.
yeah, don't do that. But but that so but that's that's like something that I knew early. Like oh no, I can't because it's just too much and just really having an aunt who worked in that field and saw what she was dealing with. She knew how to put things in compartmentalize things. Like me, I can, but it's gonna be that one that's like, wait a minute, oh, okay, hold on, this person they ain't got this and they never had this here. Like it's gonna be like it's gonna be too much. Like where I was like, it's just gonna hit me. But as I'm learning now, there's various reasons for that I may not have knew then that I've learned recently. But yeah, that is something I knew
You
early.
have a
Like
very puzzled
oh,
face now. I don't know what you're talking about. What is the reason for that again, there, sir?
because there's gonna be that one. If I was in your field or if I was a doctor and I'm seeing certain patients and I see some that are trying but there's something that they're just missing. I'm gonna want to supplement that missing. Oh, God forbid if there was if I somehow turned into a SVU detective. Oh my
Oh,
god, there's gonna
Lord.
be yeah, that's watching Benson and them. Yeah, it's always gonna be like you gonna get too attached to one of them, and that's gonna be the one that just add a little bit too much to you, where it takes away your peace, and it's like no, no. I think maybe I use wisdom with that. I don't know, but I know.
You probably did. But I will be transparent, right? When I first got started, I was working as a behavioral health specialist, right? So that's not a therapist. That's different. It's somebody who actually works solely on coping strategies, and a lot of times they go into the home because I worked in the community, and so I worked in the apartment with kids, 6 to 18, right? And so I remember I had this one client, and I saw them one time, y'all, saw them once, and they seemed cool and everything. They were there, the mom was there, whatever. They were talking. They seemed really cool. It was kind of like, why are why are we having this interaction? Because it was saying that they had all these types of anger problems and all this stuff like that. But they were putting on a great show for me. They seemed pretty cool. And they had just got out of residential. Like, it was just a lot of stuff going on, and I'm like, okay, so we acting now, I guess. So it was like, for me, I'm like, I got to get down to the bottom of this. And I didn't, and I didn't. But at the end of the day, after that time, they started ducking and dodging me. I'm calling. I'm trying to set up another appointment. They ducking and dodging me like something serious. So I go to my supervisor, and I'm like, and this is my homegirl now, even to this day. She like, close them. I was like, what? She was like, close them. They don't want the service no more. I was like, but no. There's something else there. I must know. I need no. I can't just close it. She's like, close them. And so I, being the person that I was at that time, I popped up on them. I sure enough did. Popped up on them. And I got out of my car. And it was dark too. It wasn't daytime. I got out of my car, and just so happened the door was open. I walked upstairs, and there was couches flipped over. There was it was a whole bunch of stuff going on, and I was like, whoa, what is happening? And they're like, oh, well, we got to move right now. Just out of nowhere, we got to move right now. This place is abandoned, and it was just some nonsense. And I'm trying to talk to the girl, and I'm like, hey, blink twice if you if you not okay. Like, say something. Like, but it's okay, everything's good. I was just like, if you could just. Do you know sign language? Just twitch or something. Let me know what's good, right? And nobody's telling me anything, and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. And they're like, okay, well, we got to get moving. So they don't even know where they're going. They making phone calls, talking about, hey, there's this one place over on Huff. If you're from Cleveland and you know where Huff is, then you know why I didn't want to leave. So it was like, we got this one place, and all we got to do is rig up the plumbing. Rig up the what? Rig up the what? This girl is 12. No, everything in me wanted to grab that girl and put her in a car and drive away. Now that's kidnapping. Nobody ever do that. That's kidnapping. Don't do that. But I wanted to. And when I walked down the stairs back to my car, I bawled my eyes out. I cried all the way home. I cried. I got in the house. I cried. I was trying to go to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep. I was crying. I was just crying because I was so emotionally invested. Really, in all honesty, I was triggered. But at the time, it just felt like over emotional investment. Nevertheless, like I talked to my supervisor about it. While I was talking to my supervisor, I was crying, just not even cute crying either, just snotty nose, just nasty crying, and it was just a big deal for me. So much so. Now listen to this. So much so, I quit. I quit and started working for Children and Family Services because I was like, I can't. I can't just close this. I can't just let this go. I can't just, I freaking won't, because I was too emotionally invested, right? And so I went and I started working for Child and Family Services. Worked there for 2 years. Guess what I learned working for them? Take a
How
guess.
to how to find out what happened to the girl?
Nah, emotional boundaries. That's what I learned. That's what I learned. I learned emotional boundaries. And then I was like, oh, that's why you can't have every piece of the pie because then you go crazy. So that is what I learned when I was working with them. But funny story though, I did end up finding out what happened to the girl.
Oh
And
no.
she ended up being okay. She ended up being okay. But the the stuff of the therapist, which is the concept that you're always learning and growing with your client, is that I was triggered. And the real work that needed to be done is me finding out why I was triggered. Not quitting and going and joining the crusades of children and family services. That didn't need to happen. That did not need to happen. But I needed to figure out why I was so triggered so that every time a case came up like that, I wouldn't continue to be triggered. And that's part of the work. That's part of the work. And that is why I'm able to, at this point, have real emotional boundaries that make sense because, see, I do my own work. I don't allow myself to get triggered by my clients because I know the difference between it being me and it being them. And so that's some of what you're talking about. So if you find that there's that one that you cannot get them off of your mind, which that doesn't really happen to me anymore, even though I love all my clients, they're awesome. But no, I don't spend all my days thinking about y'all. I'm sorry. But when you have that one, what you really need to focus on is talking to your supervisor and really having some heart-to-heart conversations and figuring out why this particular client is triggering you. Because 9 times out of 10 it's going to have more to do with you than it has to do with them.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah, and that's exactly why I ain't had no desire to find that one. I'm like, no, this you not about to. Who was that? Vivian Green, me a emotional roller coaster. Me, I ain't about to.
Emotional
I ain't.
roller
I
coaster.
ain't about to do none of that. There would be none of that. But that's that may have been my form of uh, compartmentalizing, where I just stayed all the way from it. It's. I'm sure there's a lot of people that stayed away from certain people because maybe they didn't had a certain body odor or looked a certain way
Body odor.
or I mean I don't I'm
We
just
talking
giving
about BO
but I'm just saying there was reasons where they felt that they weren't able to interact with this person or interact with this thing or go this place. So that might have been my compartmentalizing like that. Oh, we're not even going down that street because I kind of had a front row seat to stuff through my aunt who worked in that field, like very very heavily
Was
going
your
out to
was
doing
your
all time.
aunt was your aunt a therapist, or did she work with children and family services? Like, was she a social worker? What aspect of the field was she in?
Social with the kids and
God
going
bless
back.
her. God bless her.
Yeah, she could. She had got to the point where she could open her own thing.
Oh
She was
wow.
some of that, but yeah, I got to watch some of the or hear some of the stories and indirectly be like, oh no, there'd be none of that. That oh no, that's too heavy because that's like especially dealing with kids like that's a whole you got to be a dirty scoundrel. You got to be a real scoundrel to do something to a kid in my Ricky Smiley voice, scoundrel. Like you, that's a whole nother level
All right, Mr.
of
Mo Cheese Mo.
Well, I'm just saying that you got to be a certain level of scoundrel to do something bad to kids. So to hear some of the story like that, I'm like, man, I'll be to touch somebody. I'll be to, but no, I'm cool. I can't. There's too many triggers. Like I had a little bit more of a temper back then. Oh no, no, no thank you. No,
And I will say this, it can be triggering. And it's interesting that when I had a smaller piece of the pie, I thought I wanted the whole pie. See thoughts. That's why I always say, be careful with the decisions you make, man. Because I thought I wanted a bigger piece of the pie because it was so hard for me to let go and close, close a case, right? Or close a client. But once I got the rest of the pie, I was like, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Like you had to be a lawyer, you had to be a parent, you had to be a teacher, you had to be, you had to be everything. You had to be everything. You had to be everything. Like talk about what is it PTSD. I mean, for anybody out there who is doing it now, who has done it, who still has the desire to do it, I take my hat off to you because it wasn't until I was so engrossed in there that I had so much compassion fatigue that I realized how important and necessary emotional boundaries was.
come.
Because if you don't set them, they'll set themselves and they'll get to a point where you'll become completely numb and then you won't be able to invest even when you want to. And that's not a place that you want to get to. It's severe compassion fatigue is what I went into, working there because there was no off. See, with being a therapist, I have office hours. If it's outside my office hours, you either gonna have to contact the nearest emergency or a hotline or something. But with being in children and family services, there was no off. I laugh at your off. There was no off. You were always on. You were always on. You were always on. And it eventually is just like you don't even know which way is up. You just don't. And so by the time I was done with that, I was begging for that smaller piece of the pie. I was like, that looks filling over there. I ate too much over here. Can I go back over there? I would like some over there now.
Wow. No, I've got to say I like that compassion fatigue word. That is a I can see that. And because that what that did it triggered a memory. I remember because the same auntie. I'm in college. No names, please. But I decided to take a psychology class, and I decided to do that, and then I'm kind of like indirectly, like not in person, but kind of shadowing like my aunt. I'm asking questions and just kind of getting some the deets, if you will, and
Oh, look at you
then
sounding hip, the deep.
so I just kind of get the scenario in my head. Like I can see myself getting tired of this and being like, I don't care about nobody no more because it hurt. So now I done lived a jaded life. I got three kids by a woman I don't love. I'm divorced now because I don't even know how to love no more because I dealt with these people at my job. Like I got to get like dramatic and like
Oh,
that. I remember like literally a thought like that. Like I imagine myself like Al Bundy and like like because I'm too jaded. Like I'll never forget that. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm cool. Let me be Leon Bibb or something. Let me let me do something fun. I ain't nobody got time for that.
do something fun. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Because for me, for certain people, and these are amazing, amazing people. They do it day in and day out. Like that is their life, and they do it for years and years and years and years. Like there were a lot of individuals there that had been there for 25 years, 30 years, and I was like, oh no, because at that point I think I was um, in the process of getting my master's degree, and so I was like, no, no, this is a stop. This is not the end destination for me, you know. But people have been doing it for so long, and it was just like I mean I take my hat off to them. I don't even know because out of like there was our class had I want to say like 20 people. I want to say I could be wrong, but I want to say like 20 people. By the time it was time to actually start the real work, like where we actually got sent on our teams, we had like five.
Mm.
We had
Yeah,
like
yeah.
five,
That's all
and
about. That's yeah.
and in my opinion, I stayed on longer than I should have, for sure. But like I said, it really did make me appreciate the smaller piece of the pie. And I remember joking with my supervisor at the time. I was like, okay, all right, this piece was big enough, this slice was big enough. All right, I'm sorry. Let me come back. I just won't come back.
Mm,
I
mm,
just want to
mm.
come back. This pie is big enough.
That is deep, man.
It is, but I'm not going to take up too much of more of your time, Mr. Mochismo. And I told Michael, I was like, that's his name now, Mr. Mochismo.
This.
And Michael was like, what? And I was like, that is his name. He was like, his name is Dante. I said, no, his name is Mr. Machismo.
That's a old school word.
But you brought it out last
Yeah, I
week.
remember. Oh, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. I was like, see, I ain't heard nobody say that ever. And so that is Mr. Machismo. If you want to call back in next week, we have a spot open for you. We definitely appreciate your point of view. I definitely love having a male on the show because I mean I can only give the perspective of what I know. So it is really great having a male, a mature male, on the show. So we would love for you to continue to call in. For everybody who joined on Facebook, everybody who joined on YouTube, remember subscribe, keep sharing, keep liking, follow as well. Anybody that joined on TikTok, definitely make sure that you follow our page and that you like and you share and the stuff to do. And so I will be here again next week. Hopefully, Mr. Mochismo will be here with me, and 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 I'm here at 6 o'clock. The show is called Support Your Vice Live. If you missed the show, if you caught the tail end, and you're like, man, this kind of sounded like something I would want to watch or listen to, definitely feel free to catch the replay. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. Or you could always, do the recap on either Facebook or YouTube or TikTok. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate all the comments. Thank you for everybody who came in. And you all have a good one. Be blessed.